Hello, welcome. It's spring, so car season, like the summer car season, it's very close to the start. In Bergen, the start is like Easter. The Monday after Easter, that's like unofficial day of start of the car season. We're gonna do a few things with the Mark 1, maybe 1 month ago, maybe a bit more. In Bergen, we have this group of people. Usually they have one meet, and it's kind of like the big meet to start off the season. Technically, it's just outside of Bergen. But this year, they hadn't posted anything on Facebook, which they usually do. So I sent them a message. Is there gonna be a meet or not? And they said, I got the answer like, no, probably not. We haven't planned anything. And yeah, short story, even shorter. There is going to be a meet. We need to do a few things because I'm planning to bring my car. Among other things, we need to clean the bay. No, it's not a show car, but it has dents and stuff. So the morning that day, I will probably just wash it. But the engine bay I need to wash beforehand. Intake manifold. I started to take some sandpaper and start to check how it will look if I grind it down. It looked much nicer than it is. I think we can start with this. We need to remove, and then we're gonna grind down everything and paint it later. I want to do the same with the cover. Probably not grind it down, but paint it at least. And the throttle body, I'm actually not sure. I was a bit like, when I started to do this, I was like, fuck, now I have to do this. And which means that I should do the throttle body also. But I don't know how easy it is to paint or how good it will look. We will see. Let's start with taking off the intake manifold and the throttle body and grind it down. So as I'm waiting for this to dry, I'm gonna do another coat. I don't have enough to do the valve cover, but I want to do the valve cover in the same color because this looks so much better. I will probably do the same with, I should do the same here. Get them painted better. Yeah, I think I will do it. I need to buy more black spray paint. And to do these, the valve cover, I think I'm gonna take away the full exhaust and put on a pipe. I had now a few layers, or 2 layers approximately, and I'm out of paint. Oh, it looks so much better, right? You know, like, from this to this, it's much better. I painted this part, but not this part, because this is, to be honest, I don't want to spend the time masking off all the different parts. So what I did was I just cleaned off the metal part above. Underneath is almost the same as it was. Not pretty, but it looks much better. And I need to buy more. As I said, I'm gonna buy more of this same paint, and I'm gonna paint these two. You see, I already did it once before. I don't remember the reason why I took it off. There was a reason, but I don't remember. See if I can paint this. At least I'm gonna clean it. It's getting late, so I will mount all the stuff to the intake, and then we're gonna call it a day. So see you in a few days. So now, I think 2 days later, fuck, I was not in the mood to go to the workshop today. I've been, from when I woke up, I have not been feeling good. But we need to do this because it's not gonna build itself. And you know all these memes you see on Facebook, Instagram, and all of this TikTok. You should finish your project, Carl. Like, this is how to do it. You power through it, at least sometimes. Today we're gonna do the exhaust thing now. This is only, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. This is only to look cool. This is not performance before beauty. This is cool factor. I don't know, some kind of, for me it's cool. And it's, instead of having the exhaust down under the car into the muffler and then out, we're gonna utilize this hole in the bonnet and we're gonna put my up pipe. The exhaust is off. Put on again. So the easiest way to take down this exhaust is kind of start from the back and work your way forward. It's in 3 pieces. This is the rear one. So it's mounted here and on the other side, and that's about it for the muffler. And here on the back, which goes to kind of like the straight pipe part of it. And the differential sits about here, so it goes past the differential, follow the drive shaft. It goes over the end here, it goes over the anti-roll bar, anti-sway bar. Connects to here, this is the down pipe. Connects to here, this has a rubber mount to the chassis, goes up, and this is where it connects to the turbo. So now it's just from the turbo, 90 degrees, comes up here, and then cut out the part in this water tray, so we have a bit of like angle to it, pointing a bit to the rear. And here it was actually cut better in the beginning. Why it is such a big space now, it's because it was closer to this point. Then I bought proper flens to build off the turbo, and the flens was thicker than the previous one. So yeah, that's why it's so large. It was not nice the first time. I'm not claiming it was proper nice, but it was a bit better than this. Can I be part of the Honda gang on YouTube? All the Hondas and Evos and yeah, you name it. 4-cylinder, big turbo. Feels like on YouTube has like up the hood or out on the side or even in the front. Even I have not a big turbo. It's actually, these engines don't get delivered with smaller ones. Let's hear how it sounds now. I don't know. I felt like it was nicer sound when I had this on. The other times I've had this, but now it's now I feel kind of a bit embarrassed. Like if I was gonna drive, I don't know. Like as I said, the reason is to get a bit of like the cool factor, to make it look cool, and I think this looks cool, but I'm not sure about the sound. I think I'm gonna open up the front gate and let it run for a few minutes to get a bit temperature. Ah shit, maybe I have to put back the full exhaust. I mean, it doesn't take a long time, but I put on I put on parts of the exhaust back on, the down pipe and then the straight pipe part, not the muffler and like the very end. Then I started the car. It was okay again, which is, don't know much about tuning. Apparently, I did not know that to have the full exhaust like this is such a big difference between that and having it up pipe, because it's been tuned with the full exhaust. So hold on. Okay, just got answer actually, because we're going to the next point. Then okay, so apparently it's a huge difference, at least on my what I saw on when I plugged in my computer was that it was pulling was it timing when it was more than idle. I have like the lambda it's not that big like distance from the lambda. You can see the lambda is there, right? So it's kind of just after the V band. I hope this is not hot anymore. So the V band is here. The distance from the lambda on that one is here. And on this one is up here. So I don't know, 10, 15 centimeters in difference. I don't know if can that make such a huge difference. That being said, I hope I'm right that it's now fixed. I did not put on the full exhaust, and the reason is when I took it off, I used too much force. This broke. The guy who has this car, he is the one with the welder. Now he answered me that he can fix it tomorrow or I don't know when. So knock on hood, it's working now. I did not had it running for a long time now with partly full exhaust on, but it sounded much better and it did not pull timing. I couldn't hear that it was pulling timing. That's the status for today. A new day, the plan for today. I bought some more paint, so we're gonna paint this. At least it can't be that much worse to try to paint it all black, and then the valve cover as well. We're gonna try to make it the same look as this. I see it got some scratches already. It's anyway better than it was. So as I said, more paint, some wash thing for engines. Never tried this one before. It's painted, it's mounted back on. It looks so much better than it did before. It's not a show car look, far from. But it's better than it was. Like the dash, it's like try to make it a bit nicer. Yeah, shit. As you can see, I scratched the cover already when I was tightening this bolt. Probably did it with some of the others as well. But as long as it's nicer, I'm happy. And for me it looks nicer, especially with the charge pipe. Even though it's also nice from afar, but far from nice. The same here, already got scratch. But yeah, it's a race car, so you know, performance before beauty. But a bit of beauty, we can have a bit of beauty as well. That's it for now. I felt like I spent today most of the time waiting for the paint to dry, even though this paint dried very quickly. The exhaust is now welded here, and it is welded on just a small part. The exhaust tip would be outside of the chassis, not, you know, flush with the chassis. See those black marks? Like here? That's because of the exhaust just ending right here. With the little bit extension, this should not be that much of a problem anymore. We can mount the rest of the exhaust. I've just been thinking about this. It's two ways to do this Lambda thing. You know, I heard some tuners use the Lambda like actively, like they kind of connect it so the map will adjust to the Lambda, the values that the Lambda shows, but some kind of map through all the range of the car, the engine, and then they don't use it actively in the map anymore. You could run the car disconnected with the Lambda disconnected and it will run perfectly because it's not using it. The tuner has done it like the first way. And again, I'm not good at this. I want to learn, but haven't come that far. And also, I have been wiring up the vehicle speed sensor. Not been testing it yet because I need to drive the car. And we're gonna do that after we have finished with the rest. The launch controller works awesome. I just spent a bit of time trying to figure out what kind of maybe this could be the problem, which actually was when I put the up pipe on the exhaust, is that the settings on the ECU, if you want to activate the launch controller, you need to push it once. I have wired it up so I push this once. Now it's activated, and then to turn it off I have to push it again, and I didn't notice that in the settings on the ECU. So because it acted weird when I was driving out now with the full exhaust, it acted strange, same as kind of it did with the up pipe. So that could have been the issue with the up pipe, even though I think maybe it's a mix between this and what I said with previous about the tune being kind of actively following the Lambda, the signal the Lambda gives to the ECU. I need to check. I thought I had wired up everything from previous, but I need to wire so the signal from the ECU. Actually, I need to check if the ECU receives signal from the gearbox, from the speed sensor. How to calibrate this is the previous time I did this with the VR6 setup is that you drive in 50 kilometers per hour, and then you kind of hit, now I'm driving in 50, calibrate, and then it does it in a blink of a second. Last time I did, I downloaded a GPS which measuring speed on my phone. When I drove in 50, hit the button, and then I need to wire up from the ECU. So that's the input from the ECU, from the gearbox to the ECU. It receives the signal, and then I need to do an output from the ECU to my motorcycle gauge. I thought I had done it, but apparently not. But I have the wire from the wrong wire I took last time. It's still under the dash here, so it's easy accessible, and it should only need one wire to the correct input in my gauge, and then it should show how fast I'm going or how slow I'm going. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I just need to think a bit because so this is my gauge. This is from China. This is as China as it gets. It came with a piece of paper, which was kind of a manual, but it was written in Chinese, and I'm not very good at Chinese. And it didn't have any like wire, as far as I can see, like with the illustration which came with this. It didn't show what wire goes to where. So what I did was I just put all the wires like one by one to a battery and figured out like, okay, now the RPM is working, now the blinker, because it has blinker, it has everything you need from a bike and car, like blinker left, right, RPM, speedo, trip odometer, is that what it's called? And you can reset it, and it has a clock, and the only thing it has when you need to refuel, where to wire it so this light will stop lighting because it doesn't have a sensor. All the wires is in use. I found all the wires, I tested all of them, everyone has a purpose, except there is no wire for this fuel light, the orange. Yeah, now you need to fill fuel. So that is constantly lighting up. I can show you quick. So there you have it. That light, I don't know how to get rid of it. You know, from wiring. I guess I'm just gonna at some point. I'm just gonna leave it there because it's not bothering me, and I'm afraid if I start to take this gauge apart to put a piece of tape over this light, I will break the gauge, and that sucks. It's really cheap gauge, so I paid 250, 300 kronas to get it many years ago. Just the fact that it actually works for this price is amazing. So I'm not gonna complain. I'm probably just gonna keep it. The ECU couldn't read the signal. It just came up like can't see any signal. Check wiring. The wiring, and so I want to check if it receives 12 volts and if it has ground. And I'm gonna double check that I put all the wiring in the correct position. But the engine is quite warm and the sensor is at the gearbox down here, and the manifold is quite warm, as I said, and it's kind of in the way. And I don't remember where, but somewhere on my arm I have proof from earlier that the manifold, when it's hot, it's really hot. I just want it to cool down a bit. You just have to see. And I can show you on the gearbox where this speed sensor is, if you can hear me. Eric is vacuuming something in his car. This is a VR6 gearbox, all-wheel drive. It's from R32. The gearbox is exactly the same, you know, more or less, other than the clutch house, which fits the VR6 and R32 instead of the 4-cylinder engines. So here is the speed sensor in the very back. So this is the front of the engine, this is the back of the engine, and it's here. The car has been sitting to cool down, so I could check the wiring for the speed sensor. I figured I was gonna back the car into the space, and now the manifold is a bit warm again. So I think I will not be able to check this in this video. We will do it in the future. So the car is pretty much ready for the meet, I think. It needs to be cleaned on the outside. I cleaned the engine bay at least somewhat. I don't want to, you know, it's a race car. I'm not gonna spend too much time. The outside needs to be clean before this meet, which is in 2 weeks, I think. And yeah, I think that's it for this time.